Game 10 of the 2014 Greendale Panther football season. If you are playing a 10th game, that means you are in the playoffs, as the number 1 seeded Greendale Panthers are hosting the number 8 seeded Milwaukee Bradley Tech Trojans. The Trojans come from the Milwaukee City Conference and come in tonight at 6-3, while Greendale, who comes from the Woodland West Conference, come in tonight at 9-0. We got a perfect night with mild temperatures, so this should make things very comfortable for everyone at the game. Milwaukee Tech would kick first to start the game. After the return, the Panthers, led by All-State quarterback Josh Ringelberg, would take to the field and start from their 37. It didn't take long for Greendale to reach the end zone, for on the second play in the drive, Angel Ramirez took a pitcher on the left side from his halfback position and raced 63 yards untouched up the left sideline for the game's first score. Kicker Josh Michaels converted the kick, making the score 7-0 with 11:41 left in the first quarter of play. After the ensuing kick, the Trojans would begin their first drive of the game from their 25. The Panthers' high-flying defense, led by linebacker Tristan Pipp, stopped everything that Tech threw at them, forcing in the punt, going 3 and out. After a short kick, Greendale would be starting from their 46. It didn't take long to find the end zone again, as Ringelberg hooked up with Michaels on a 25-yard slant pass for Greendale's second score of the night. Michaels then split the uprights, making the score 14-0 with 9:36 left in the first quarter. The Trojans would begin their next drive from their 34. The Panthers' defense picked up right where they left off. This time, for whatever reason, Milwaukee Tech was looking at a 4th and 8 from their 36, so instead of punting, they went for it. That pass fell incomplete, so Greendale would now be looking at a real short field as they would begin from the Trojans' 36. On the very first play, Ringelberg hooked up with another one of his weapons in David Johnson for a 36-yard scoring strike. Michaels made the kick, thus making the score 21-0 with 6:27 left in the opening quarter. The stunned Trojans would begin their next drive following the kick from their 20. This time they got off 5 plays before using better judgment this time and punting the ball away from their 42. After the kick, Greendale took possession on their 41. 2 plays later, running back Jack Ringelberg took one to the house from 59 yards out, but it would be called back on a holding penalty. 4 plays later, however, Johnson collected his second TD pass from Ringelberg on a 34-yard strike for Greendale's 4th touchdown of the game. Michael split the upright, making a score 28-0 with 3:03 left in the first quarter. The somewhat dazed and bewildered Trojans began their next drive from their 20. Again, the swarming Panther defense forced them to punt as they went 3 and out. On the punt play, however, the punter mishandled the ball and was forced to take off running, but instead was greeted by a host of hungry Panthers who tackled him on the 14. On the very first play, Ramirez would take an inside handoff and eluded several Trojans, eventually ending up in the end zone for another Panther score. The point after try was good, and Greendale has blown this game wide open by a score of 35-0 with 1:07 still left in the first quarter. Because it was still the first half, the 35-point clock rule would not go into effect by rule. The Trojans would start their next drive from the 18. Up until now, they've only had 1 first down in the game. This time they managed to put 7 plays together, taking the game into the second quarter before Panther defensive back Kennedy Steinberg picked off a Trojan pass and returned it to the Trojans' 26. Seeing what was going on, the Panther coaching staff sent out their number 2 offense to start this drive. This would be the earliest that they have seen action, as the game was only 2 minutes into the second quarter. At quarterback was David Wood. 2 plays later, Wood would take it himself from 7 yards out for another Panther score. Michaels made the kick, increasing Greendale's lead by a score of 42-0 with 9:33 now left in the first half. After the ensuing kick, Tech would begin for their 17. This time the number 2 defense was called into action for Greendale as well. They picked up right where the first bunch left off and forced Tech to punt as they went 3 and out. After the return, Greendale would begin from the Trojan 39. This time they ended up turning the ball over on downs as they failed to move the sticks. This time Bradley Tech pounded out a 10-play drive and finally reached the end zone on a 6-yard run by Charles Austin. The try for 2 points failed, making the score rather lopsided 42-6 with 27 seconds left in the half. The Panthers would start their next drive after the ensuing kick from their 41. They ran 3 plays before the first half came to an end. Greendale would be kicking to start the second half. Because it was now the second half, the running clock would begin. After the return, Tech would start from their 18. 3 plays later, they fumbled the center quarterback exchange, of which Greendale Zach Schultz would recover. And that quarterback this time was junior Mike Jankowiak. 3 plays later, Jordan Galoni found himself standing in the end zone after a nice 11-yard run, but the play would be called back on a penalty. On the very next play, Galoni would fumble the ball, giving it back to the Trojans on their 11. The Trojans didn't fare well again as they had to line up for a punt from their end zone going 3 and out. After the kick, Greendale would take over from Tex 41. 10 plays later and well into the fourth quarter, Jankowiak would sneak it in from 1 yard out for Greendale's 7th touchdown of the game. This time, freshman Kyle Weinkoff would convert the kick, giving Greendale a 49-6 lead with 7:31 left in the game. After the kick, Milwaukee Tech would begin from their 22. The scrappy Panther defense forced them to line up for another punt as they went 3 and out. This time, the Trojans' offensive line didn't do a very good job of blocking as 5 Panther players got to the punter, and amongst all the chaos, somebody blocked the kick. Johnny on the spot, Andy Nahara would scoop up the loose ball and scamper the remaining 6 yards needed for another Panther score. Weinkoff made the kick, making the score 56-6 with 3:25 left in the game. By now, the Trojans just wanted this game over. They would start their next drive from the 10. They ran 3 plays before the game finally came to an end. The final score would be Greendale 56, Milwaukee Bradley Tech 6. This isn't all that uncommon for a number 1 seeded team to overwhelm an 8 seeded team in the first round. Unfortunately for Bradley Tech, they had a bad draw as they were probably playing the hottest team in the state. Greendale will now move on to the level 2 game and will host the number 4th seeded Burlington Demons. Burlington is 6-4 and comes from the Southern Lakes Conference. They defeated Wilmot last week by a score of 21-20. The winner of that game then will face the winner of the Waukesha West Waterford game the following week. Next week's game will start at 7 o'clock. Hope to see you all there. So long.